At least about 25 people have been killed in Afghanistan and several others have been injured after a landslide cascaded down to the village of Mokani in the eastern part of Afghanistan. The landslide happened on Sunday night and according to local officials, it was caused due to heavy snowfall and then relentless rains that are still said to be ongoing. The footage shows snow-covered homes buried under the landslide. The dozens of houses in the village are said to be destroyed. Villagers were seen carrying bodies on their shoulders. And according to Nuristan Province's head of information and culture, emergency teams have been sent out to rescue people who are said to be trapped underneath the rubble. The search is on for at least about 25 people, including women and children, who are trapped under the collapsed homes. The province, which borders Pakistan, is mostly covered by mountainous forests. Now, California is bracing itself for some intense flooding as the state has endured another wave of heavy rainstorms. Now, less than 2 weeks after a mega storm, yet another atmospheric river is said to be pinwheeling into the state from the Pacific Ocean. The Sacramento Valley and the agricultural corridor that includes the cities of Stockton and Modesto may experience tornadoes. Now, California has experienced extreme drought until a parade of atmospheric rivers last year had dumped historic amounts of rain and snow. Now, experts expect another wet year in 2024, but with warmer temperatures that leave behind less snowpack.
Sure, yeah. So the very strong atmospheric river that began moving into California yesterday afternoon continued overnight this morning. Did produce quite a bit of rainfall across much of the state, particularly across portions of Southern California, where in the transverse range in and around Santa Barbara, there were reports of 3 to as much as 5 inches of rain as of early this morning. And the rain continues, looking at another additional period of heavy rain through today across portions of Southern California, where an additional amount of 1 to maybe as high as 3 inches of rainfall could occur through today. And that could result in additional flash flooding, potentially landslides, and in and around Southern California.
Now, much of California faces floods and mudslide risks, but experts say that the state is unlikely to experience damage like what was being witnessed 2 weeks ago, when a mega storm had wreaked complete havoc across the American state. An atmospheric river had in fact dumped up to a year's worth of rain in some areas. It had knocked out power for almost about 1 million residents and it killed at least about 9 people. But meteorologists say that the new storm is not likely to be as potent to pack a punch after such a rainy season. The intensity does not need to be as high as it once was to cause similar impact like flooding and landslides.
We've had kind of back-to-back weather systems, and generally this month has been really wet for the state of California. And so we have seen above normal precipitation. And so what that does is, it results in wetter ground conditions, and it makes those areas more vulnerable to the additional heavy rainfall that we're expecting, so that the amounts and the intensity doesn't need to be as high as it once was to cause similar impacts like flooding, landslides, and things like that.
Now, due to extreme climatic conditions and also the persistent dry weather, there's been a historic 2-month delay in the annual migration of Australia's Christmas Island red crabs. This comes as the crabs are about to start their annual journey from the interior of the island to the sea, where they mate. Now, every year, the first substantial rainfall triggers the migration of tens of millions of crabs. Now, this year, with the climatic conditions and scarcity of rainfall, there was a bit of a delay in the migration of these crabs. The crabs are unique to the island, much of which is designated as a national park and is protected by the Australian law. The migration is focused on the crab's journey from the island off the coast of Western Australia to the ocean for mating. The females then stay behind in burrows near the ocean to hatch their eggs, and the males return inland.
Calm down, calm down. I wouldn't do this with most of the other. The last 6 to 9 months of 2023 was exceptionally dry. So dry that when the crabs would normally migrate in October and November, we had no rainfall and they didn't migrate. And that dry period continued into January this year. So for the first time that we've recorded, the crabs have spawned in February, albeit in lower numbers.
Now, the impact of climate change can actually be overwhelming. Images of wildfires, thick blankets of smoke covering cities, flooding, droughts are hard to watch, and they are extremely discomforting. And now experts have warned that the impact of climate change can actually have a profound effect on the mental well-being of people. Mental health experts are reporting a rising number of patients experiencing high levels of stress over global warming and its impact. Now, according to psychotherapist Caroline Hickman's research, climate anxiety is much worse than other forms of anxiety. And some pretty bad scenarios, climate anxiety can in fact disrupt the ability to carry out day-to-day functions. And according to Hickman's research, children and young people suffer from such anxiety and can feel alienated from their loved ones and often suffer from intrusive thoughts about the future. The patients obsessively check for extreme weather. They read about climate change studies and also pursue radical activism. The experts say that some anxieties are linked to specific triggers which can be addressed and resolved, but climate change is more wide-ranging, and global warming is also not resolvable by any one individual. So it's literally impossible to gain a sense of confidence and control over the problem. Now, the upper regions of the Himalayas are witnessing some fresh snowfall. From Ladakh to Himachal, snow as deep as 4 to 5 feet is now turning hill stations and also high altitude passes white. While transportation services in these areas have ground to a halt, a final spell of snow this winter season has also left the mountains shrouded and onlookers spellbound. Our next poll gets you more details. So that's all the time we have in this edition of Climate Tracker. But don't go anywhere, for on the other side, we'll be getting you the details of what else is happening across India.